Hi everyone, welcome to the webinar and workshop series conducted by TCS in lieu of the upcoming MCS exams happening in August 2025. My name is Nick and I'm one of the lead tutors and evaluators for MCS at TCS. So let's look at the session outcomes. First things first, I'm going to take you through the exam blueprint, thereby explaining what the examiner expects from you. And then I will share some tips to boost your confidence. And lastly, most importantly, I will be sharing stress management techniques. So you learned answering and time management techniques in last week's webinar. And in this webinar, you will be learning stress management techniques. And from this point onwards, whenever you are attempting a mock exam, you are expected to practice all three techniques which you have learned in the previous week and in this week's webinars, which is to practice your answering, time management, and stress management techniques whenever you are attempting a mock examination. So before we get into the technicalities, let me quickly remind you of the upcoming workshops we have scheduled for you. So we are kickstarting our workshop series, thereby focusing your attention towards your F2 syllabus. And these workshops will be conducted by Jared, our co-tutor. And in each of these workshops, we will be, taking you through the entire syllabus concerning your F2, P2, and E2 pillars. And also, we will be taking you through a mock exam, thereby discussing a question and answer concerning your F2, P2, and E2 syllabi. And in each of these workshops, just like in the webinars, we will be conducting a Q&A. So if you have any questions or concerns, you can always get them addressed in each of these workshops. And in the final workshop, which happens just 2 or 3 days before your examination, I will be sharing last minute tips with you to make sure that you walk into the exam with a high level of positivity. So make use of these free resources on offer. Get in touch with us on a weekly basis because this is the best way to get your questions answered. And at the same time, this is the best way to keep tabs about your performance at the end of each week. Having said that, let's look at what the examiner expects from you. So as per the CIMA examiner, if you are to develop good answers, first things first, you need to make sure that your answers are 100% aligned with the requirement. So good answers require relevance to the requirement. So that's why it's essential that you gain a clear understanding of each requirement, because if you misunderstand the requirement, then you will end up losing a lot of marks. So before you develop an answer plan, or before you structure your answer, first things first, right after reading through the scenario, your job should be to simplify the requirement with the intention of achieving two things. Objective number one is to make sure that you gain a clear understanding of each requirement. And objective number two, with regards to simplifying your requirement, is to make sure that you have a simplified requirement at your disposal when developing the answer plan, which makes your life easy to figure out. Whilst developing the answer plan, you can always check and see whether you are developing an answer which is 100% aligned with the requirement. So with that in mind, you are supposed to simplify each requirement in your own words in a concise manner. So that's exactly what I highlighted in last week's webinar as well. So as you can see in here, we have simplified each and every requirement in a concise manner. And you are expected to do this whenever you are attempting mock exams right before you develop the answer plans. And if you master this technique, then at the examination, you will develop high quality answers. Why? Because if you gain a clear understanding of the requirement, then you will always develop an answer which is aligned with each requirement. So in order to gain a clear understanding, in order to make sure that you are capable of developing high quality answer plans, always remember, before you develop the answer plan, simplify the requirement in your own words in a concise manner. Okay, so that's the first thing which you need to focus on. And I highlighted this in last week's webinar as well. And also, when developing your answers, you need to show to the examiner or the marker the fact that you have learned your theoretical concepts or technical knowledge, and at the same time, you possess the ability to apply these theoretical concepts in the most successful manner. So that is why throughout this webinar series, I've been telling you the fact that you have to be conversant with how each syllabus area can be tested at the exam. And when conducting your preparations, it's essential that you attempt all the mocks which we have developed, because if you had gone through past exam variants, you would have seen that the examiner develops 6 different papers or 6 different variants. So the examiner is forced to develop 6 different variants, because the objective of developing these variants is to make sure that the examiner covers the entire syllabus. So if you want to be fully prepared, you should plan to attempt 6 mock exams this time, because if you are planning to attempt just 2 or 3 mock exams, then you do not stand a chance to cover the entire syllabus. Because before you walk into the examination, you have to be thorough about how each syllabus area can be tested at your examination. Because as I mentioned in last week's webinar, 50% of your questions are intended to test your theory knowledge, and 50% of your questions are intended to test your application skills. So if you have knowledge gaps, then if you don't know all theoretical concepts, and if you don't know how each syllabus area can be tested at the exam, then you will definitely struggle at your examination. So the examiner wants you to put in a lot of effort when conducting preparations. So that's why it's essential that you attempt 6 mock exams this time. If you're planning to attempt just 2 or 3, then you are definitely testing your luck at your real examination. So not just technical knowledge is tested at your exam. As I mentioned earlier, your application skills are tested as well. So, that's why you should not learn theories in isolation and, try to figure out application on your own. Because if you try to do so, especially if you're coming through an exemption route, you will struggle a lot. So if you're coming through an OTQ route, yes, you are in a position to figure out application by looking at the mock exams and the suggested answers. However, if you are coming through an exemption route, you will definitely struggle with application, because you are not in a position to figure it out on your own simply by reading through suggested answers. So that's why you need to gain access to the master classes and the answer plans which we have developed, because we have developed these 2 resources with the prime objective of teaching you how each syllabus area can be tested at the MCS exam, and at the same time to teach you application skills. So in order to fulfill these 2 requirements, attempt all 6 mock exams, watch the master classes. After you have watched the master classes, conduct revision, thereby practicing your technical knowledge and application skills, thereby redeveloping answer plans. I explained all these things in depth in last week's webinar, which was a crucial one. So if you missed out on it, please go watch the recorded version, which can be accessed via our YouTube handle as well as our student dashboard. And when developing answers, you are supposed to develop well-structured answers. So that's exactly why you need to master this answering technique. So this is how a typical answer plan or an answer structure should look like. So in order to do this in a proper manner, in a successful manner at your examination, it's essential that you master this technique by practicing this technique whenever you are attempting a mock exam. So your practice should not stop there. Let's assume you are done with one single mock exam, and when attempting it, you practice this answering and time management techniques which you learned last week. Your practice does not stop there. Instead, after watching master classes, you are supposed to redevelop answer plans. And when it comes to redeveloping answer plans, you are again practicing your answering technique. Because as per the examiner, you are supposed to develop well-structured answers. So if you have to develop well-structured answers, definitely you have to master your answering technique. So you should have the capability of developing answer plans such as these in the first 20 minutes of each section. And then the remaining time should be utilized to expand your answer plan in paragraph form. So although your answer plan should look something like this, when looking at your final answer, it should be in paragraph form. So take 20 minutes to develop the answer plan for each section and utilize the remaining 20 minutes of your time to expand the answer plan in paragraph form. I explained all these things in depth in last week's webinar. Please go watch it if you missed out on it. All right, so that's what you're expected to do. And whenever you are suggesting something, or whenever you are presenting an argument, or whenever you are recommending something, you have to back it up with appropriate justifications, because that's exactly what you are expected to do at office. When you receive an email from your superior, when you are responding to it, if you are recommending something, you won't simply say, okay, we are supposed to do this. You will always say, okay, I'm recommending that we should do this because of these factors. So likewise, whenever you are presenting something, presenting an argument or a recommendation, always make sure to back it up with appropriate justifications, and you will learn how to do this in the most successful manner when you refer to our answer plans and the master classes which we have developed based on the same answer plans. All right, so that's, you should fulfill all these things to develop good answers. So first things first, in order to fix the first element, to develop answers which are relevant to the requirement, simplify each requirement in your own words before developing the answer plan. In order to fulfill technical knowledge, in order to cover all syllabus areas and to learn application skills, watch master classes. After watching master classes, in order to test your knowledge and further improve your application skills, redevelop answer plans, thereby conducting revision focused on the same mocks which you're supposed to attempt. Then you should develop well-structured answers. That's where answering technique comes into play. So whenever you are practicing a mock exam, practice the answering and time management techniques which we taught. And at the same time, after attempting each mock exam, when conducting revision, you are supposed to redevelop answer plans. And when you are redeveloping answer plans, you are again practicing your answering technique. And once you are thorough with your answer plans, you will find it extremely easy to expand the answer plans in paragraph form, thereby developing a paragraph per answer point. And whenever you are presenting a recommendation or some type of an argument, always make sure to back it up with appropriate justifications. So you can refer to the master classes and answer plans and learn how to do these things in the most successful manner. Okay, and before the exam, let's try to figure out what you are expected to do. So your CIMA examiner expects you to study all areas of the syllabus. So that is why I said, if you are planning to attempt just 2 or 3 mock exams before walking into the examination, you are going to test your luck, because your syllabus is vast. If you look at your MCS syllabus, you have to be conversant about so many theoretical or conceptual knowledge areas. So this so theoretical concepts covering advanced management accounting, you have to be conversant with investment appraisal tools, various different responsibility centers. Then you have to be ready to suggest performance measures or KPIs, and how to measure performance using balanced scorecard methodology, looking at both financial and non-financial performance, various different ways in which we can conduct benchmarking. As you know, Trimayr is involved with internal benchmarking at the moment. So you should have an understanding of whether it is relevant to the company, whether it's enough, or whether we should opt for some other type of benchmarking activity. Then your transfer knowledge pertaining to transfer pricing will definitely be tested, along with activity-based management, and also cost transformation techniques such as the CGMA cost transformation model, especially when opting to achieve sustainability. Then target costing, life cycle costing, everything tied to modern methods of costing, as well as total quality management, the 4 costs of quality, business process re-engineering, value chain analysis, pricing strategies. You should have the capability to identify and manage various different types of risks, and how to conduct a sensitivity analysis, and how to stress test your plans or budgets. All these things which fall under your P2 syllabus will be tested. And with regards to your F2 syllabus, sources of finance, because as a finance manager, yes, you need to have a good understanding about the long-term financing elements of your business, as well as the short-term financing elements. So that's why you need to be conversant with short-term and long-term sources of finance. Your knowledge pertaining to the weighted average cost of capital, or WCC, will be tested. Then group accounts will be tested, how to account for subsidiaries, how to compute goodwill, how to treat it, non-controlling interests, fair value adjustments, how to, develop accounts for joint ventures and associates. All these things will be tested. Also, your knowledge pertaining to integrated reporting and ratio analysis, as well as various different financial reporting standards will be tested. And along with it, tied to E2, your knowledge pertaining to managing performance will be tested. So you should have a good understanding of the business model, a four-step process. So you should have a good understanding about the current business model of Trimayr. And at the exam, when Trimayr is faced with something new, or when it's trying to exploit an opportunity, if the business model changes, you should have the capability of considering the changes or changing the business model as and when needed. Then your knowledge pertaining to the business ecosystem, how disruptive technology can impact your company, and how data analytics can be utilized for better decision making, and utilizing project management, various different tools and whatnot will be tested. And managing people will also be tested at your examination, because as a senior finance manager, you are supposed to provide leadership to your subordinates, as well as those who are working under you at the operational level. So everything tied to managing people, such as leadership, negotiation, resolving conflicts, ensuring health and safety, how to take disciplinary action, how to manage teams, how to communicate effectively, how to motivate individuals, and the differences between responsibility, authority, and delegation. All these things will be tested at your examination. So in order to explain all these things, I took about 2 or 3 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. So if I'm to take 2 or 3 minutes to explain the entire syllabus, then how hard it is for you to cover all these syllabus areas when conducting your preparation. So you don't have much time at your disposal. That is why we have taken steps to make sure that your responsibilities are or your effort is minimized as much as possible. So that is why we have painstakingly made sure to cover all these syllabus areas, which I explained a while back, within the 6 mock exams which we have developed. And also that's why we have developed the master classes focused on the same mock exams, with the intention of making sure that in a jiffy you are in a position to learn theory and application via one single video. Because if you want to learn theory on your own, and then if you try to figure out application, you will struggle a lot. You will end up wasting a lot of time. So with the intention of reducing your effort, we have developed study resources. So your job is simply to attempt the mock exam, watch the master classes, and redevelop answer plans. Everything else is handled by us. So you need not worry about syllabus coverage, because we have covered all syllabus areas across the 6 mocks which we have developed and shared with you. And also, you should always develop answers which are aligned with the scenario, or which are developed considering the exact information presented in each unseen. So, as I mentioned earlier, you need to significantly improve your application skills. That is why you need to watch the master classes and then take steps to redevelop answer plans. So you learn application via the master classes, and then you need to test your knowledge by or practice your application skills by redeveloping answer plans. And the examiner before the exam wants you to practice tasks. And when it comes to practicing tasks, the examiner expects you to type or write full answers. So what are full answers? I've dealt with students when conducting preparations. There are individuals, these individuals are misdirected by various tutors. It's not their fault, actually. So these individuals, what they do is they will end up attempting mini mocks, whereas at the examination, they have to attempt a full examination. So what are mini mocks? Mini mocks comprise of just 2 or 3 subtasks, or through 2 or 3 sections rather. But at your examination, you are supposed to face 4 sections, and the time allocation for each section is 45 minutes, and across 3 hours, you have to sit 4 sections one after the other without a break in between them. But I've dealt with students when they are attempting mock exams. They think that they are attempting full mock exams, but later on, after the exam, they figure out that when they were practicing mini mock exams, which just consist of two or three subtasks, or two or three sections rather. So when conducting your preparations, it's essential that you practice mocks under exam conditions. You have to attempt the entire mock, which consists of 4 main sections. Just like in your real examination, you have to sit in one place and across 3 hours attempt these 4 sections one after the other. So in order to make sure that you have the opportunity to get your bearings with the exam situation, we have developed the exam platform, which I showed to you last week in the third webinar. So we have developed an exam platform, which is the exact replica of the Pearson VUE system, which is the best way to master your answering, time management, and stress management techniques. In a little while, I will talk about the type of stresses you will encounter, and I will teach you what to do to overcome these stressful situations. So the best way to encounter these stressful situations is to attempt mocks under exam conditions. It's essential that you face these type of problems, complexities, stressful situations when conducting your preparations, rather than facing them for the first time at your real examination. Because if you face these problems right now, with our guidance, you will have or develop the capability to manage these stressful situations in the most effective manner. So that is why the examiner is asking you to practice by typing or writing full answers. So you have to replicate the real exam situation whenever you are attempting a mock exam. You can fix your knowledge gaps and application issues when conducting revision. So when conducting revision, you should not time yourself. You can take any amount of time you want, and keep redeveloping answer plans over and over until you are satisfied about the fact that you are capable of replicating answer plans as per what's shared with you by us or via TCS. So you can take any amount of time when it comes to redeveloping answer plans, because the objective of redeveloping answer plans is to fine-tune your answering technique. But when it comes to attempting mock exams, simply stick to the answering and time management techniques which we have taught. Try to do your best shot, because the objective of attempting mocks under exam conditions is to make sure that you practice your answering, time management, and stress management techniques, and at the same time you are exposed to stressful situations, exam fatigue, and whatnot. It's good to face these things when conducting your preparations. Then you'd know what to do to overcome them. Okay, so you have to listen to the examiner. You have to study all areas of the syllabus. That's why you need to attempt all 6 mock exams. Then you need to work on your application. That's why you need to watch the master classes first to learn application, and then redevelop answer plans to practice your application. And when it comes to attempting mock exams, practice full mock exams, which consist of 4 sections across 3 hours, just like in your real examination. If you are planning to conduct preparations by relying on mini mock exams, you are gravely mistaken. You will struggle a lot at your real examination. So that's what you need to do before the exam, and during the exam, you are expected to plan your answers. So as I mentioned in last week's webinar and in today's webinar, answer planning or improving your answering technique or developing answer plans is crucial. So the examiner expects you to plan your answer at your examination. So if you are to plan your answer in the most successful manner, you need to practice the answering technique which we taught you in last week's webinar. So whenever you are attempting a mock exam, practice the answering and time management technique, because if you have already implement the answering technique which you learned last week when attempting mock exam 1, TCS's mock exam 1, we asked you to develop answer plans within 20 minutes, but you would have understood the fact that you are actually taking 35 to 40 minutes to develop the answer plan. So that's quite all right. I want you to keep fighting. I want you to keep practicing this technique when attempting the remaining mock exams, because you are doing this, you're implementing this technique for the first time. So you need to practice this in order to gain the capability to develop answer plans within just 20 minutes. So if you keep practicing this technique over and over, by the time you are in mocks 5 and 6, you will understand that you have the capability of developing answer plans within just 20 minutes. So if you master this technique at your examination, You will know how to manage your time. You will never run out of time. And when you don't run out of time, you won't be stressed. And this will take a lot of pressure off your head. And at the same time, when you are capable of developing answer plans within 20 minutes, you know for a fact that you are developing high quality answers, well structured answers. And if you develop well structured answers, then you are going to get a lot of marks at your real examination. So if you are to plan your answers in the most successful manner at your examination, you need to practice this technique. Okay, so that's why I said in last week's webinar, just learning the answering and time management technique won't help. You need to definitely practice these two techniques whenever you are attempting our mock exams under exam conditions. And the marker is under strict instructions to mark answers on their merits. So as I mentioned in last week's webinar, the marker is not looking at the quantity or the length of your answer. Instead, the marker is looking at the quality of your answer. That is why you need to master the answering technique or your answer planning technique, which we highlighted in last week's webinar. Because as per what you learned in last week's webinar, your focus should be to structure your answers properly, thereby focusing on quality. Because I said, based on the weight in last week's webinar, I said that based on the weightages provided, you are supposed to determine mark allocations. Once you know the mark allocations, then you are supposed to determine how many points you need to include under each subtask. So when you are sticking to this process, you are making sure to develop answers which are totally aligned with 100% aligned with the mark allocations. So that's the best approach to stick to, because if not, you will develop extremely long answers or extremely short answers, thereby losing a lot of marks. When you develop extremely long answers, what happens is you will end up losing time. And when you lose time, you will screw up your answer focused on the last subtask. It could be subtask B or C. You will run out of time. And if you run out of time, you will come up with half-hearted answers or incomplete answers, and therefore you'd end up failing this examination. Similarly, if you develop answers which are too short, then you are not going to get all the marks which are dedicated for each and every subtask. So the best way to develop answers which are of the utmost level of quality, the best way to develop answers which are 100% aligned with the requirement is to determine mark allocations based on the weightages, and then based on the mark allocations, determine how many points you need to include under each and every subtask. I highlighted how to do this in the most practical manner in last week's webinar. So if you missed it, please go watch the recorded version. So the marker is not looking at the quantity. Instead, the marker is picking quality. That's why you need to nail your answering technique and implement the same answering technique at your examination. That is why we have taken action to develop answer plans and share them with you, to make sure that you gain a good understanding of how to structure your answers. And when conducting revision, you can take steps to fine-tune your answering technique, because if you're capable of replicating our answer plans during your examination, you will get extremely good marks. Okay, so that's what you're expected to do. So simply listen to the examiner and stick to the process which we have been teaching you throughout this webinar series. All right, so having said that, before we move on to the last two parts of today's session, let me quickly tell you what we offer at TCS. So I'm on the MCS page. Click on this button to create a free user account. Once you have done so, you will gain access to our student dashboard. Via our dashboard, go to my courses, and in front of MCS free, you would see an access content button. Click on it, and under the videos tab, you'd gain access to the recorded versions of the weekly webinars and workshops. And under the study material tab, you'd gain access to the answer plan of mock exam 1 and the syllabus coverage document, as well as the pre-seen mind map. And under the mocks tab, you'd gain access to the questions and suggested answers of mock exam 1. And under the exams tab, you will gain access to our exam platform, on which you can attempt mock exam 1 in its entirety under exam conditions, which gives you the opportunity to practice your answering, time management, and stress management techniques. So if you're yet to attempt MCS mock 1 via our exam platform under exam conditions, please do so. by creating a free user account. Okay, so these are the free resources on offer. And if you're interested in investing on our paid content, check our sample material before doing so. And if you're yet to join our MCS WhatsApp group, click on this button and join it. Via this group, you have the opportunity of getting in touch with myself and Jared. If you have any questions, you can get them addressed instantaneously. And at the same time, we will keep you guys informed about the webinars, the commencement dates and times. And also, we will be sharing hordes of free resources with you via this WhatsApp group. So please make sure to join it. And talking about what we offer two packages, the essential course and the premium course. The essential course is designed for those who are coming through the OTQ route or the CIMA general route. So since you have mastered your OTQs, you have already mastered your theory. So at this examination, it's simply a matter of improving your application skills. So under the essential course, you'd gain access to the recordings of all webinars and workshops, 6 mock exams with suggested answers. A while back, you saw the syllabus areas which we have covered across our 6 mock exams. So you should listen to the CIMA examiner and prepare yourself fully, thereby being conversant about how each syllabus area can be tested at the exam, and you can achieve just that by attempting our 6 mock exams. And you'd also gain access to pre-scene analysis videos, 5 videos in total. And once you have watched these videos, you will gain an in-depth understanding of what appears within your pre-scene document. So you need not waste time to decrypt pre-scene info. We have done it for you. And also you'd gain access to the annotated pre-scene industry and financial analysis slides. Let me quickly show you what these documents look like. So via these annotations, we have effectively summarized the entire pre-scene, which makes your life easy when it comes to understanding pre-scene info. And also we have explained the possible exam scenarios which can be tested, and tied to these scenarios, the examiner, the syllabus areas which can be tested as well. And we have made sure to cover these elements when developing our 6 mock exams. And looking at our industry analysis slides, the slides are divided into 4 main parts. In the first part, we have defined your industry. And in the second and third parts, we have highlighted about the trends impacting your industry and the challenges and opportunities at your industry's disposal. So mind you, based on these trends, challenges, and opportunities, scenarios will be thrown at you at your real exam. And towards the very end, considering a real life company, we have explained how a real life company operates within your chosen industry. And similarly, looking at the financial analysis slides, we have evaluated each financial statement in depth, yet making sure to keep things simple so that you gain an in-depth understanding of what appears within each financial statement. So we have evaluated the SOPL, the SOFP, as well as at the very end, we have conducted a ratio analysis, thereby considering your your companies and its closest competitors' performance and comparing them in one single place, so that you can easily get an understanding of the financial situation of your company compared to its closest competitor. So these are the resources on offer under the essential course. Additionally, you'd gain access to the top 10 likely issue slides, which indicate the most probable scenarios which can be tested at the exam. You will gain access to a case study familiarization kit. Once you have gone through this kit, within 10 to 15 minutes, you stand a chance to gain an in-depth understanding about the technicalities behind your MCS exam. You will also gain access to a tutor-managed live chat and OTQ revision cards. So after attempting each mock exam, if you feel that you need to brush up your knowledge concerning a certain theoretical concept, simply refer to our OTQ revision cards. In a jiffy, you are in a position to, improve your knowledge concerning various different syllabus areas. So the essential course is priced at £249. And talking about the premium course is designed for those who are coming through the exemption routes and those who had failed the exam previously. So both these sets of students have the same problem. There are gaps in theory knowledge and issues with application. So on top of what appears under the essential course, we have included some additional resources under the premium course, with the prime intention of teaching you all theoretical elements and teaching you application skills. So under the premium course, you'd gain access to one-on-one tutor feedback on 2 mock exams, namely mocks 3 and 5. And this is the type of feedback on offer. As you can see, we have evaluated each and every paragraph, thereby highlighting the shortcomings, because the objective of you opting for tutor feedback should be to really understand your shortcomings, because if you understand your shortcomings, then when it comes to revision, you can take steps to fix these shortcomings. If not, you will not understand your shortcomings and you'd keep repeating the same mistakes over and over. And at your examination, you will do the same type of mistakes. So in order to avoid your mistakes, opt for tutor feedback. And you can see we have the type of feedback on offer at TCS. And at the very end, we have determine mark allocations on subtask by subtask basis, and we have also indicated the success rate as well. So these yellow highlighted areas indicate the subtasks in which the student's performance was subpar. So after receiving tutor feedback, your job is to redevelop answer plans focused on the subtasks which are highlighted in yellow. So these are the resources on offer under the premium course. Also, you'd gain access to the answer plans of all 6 mock exams. So you saw what an answer plan looks like a while back. So this is an answer structure or an answer plan at your disposal, which makes it extremely easy for you to understand the logic behind each answer, understand how theoretical concepts should be utilized when developing answers, and also this helps you identify how to work on your application as well. And this tool is extremely important when conducting revision as well, because as I mentioned earlier, when conducting revision, your job should be to keep redeveloping answer plans over and over until you are satisfied about the fact that you are capable of replicating TCS's answer plans. So this is the best way to understand the logic behind each answer, the theoretical concepts, how to include theoretical concepts, and how to improve your application skills. And therefore, it's the best tool when it comes to revision as well. And also, you'd gain access to 20 master classes in total. So from mock 2 up until mock 6, we have developed master classes. In each mock exam, there are 4 sections. So 4 sections into 5 mocks come up to 20 sections in total. So focused on each section, we have developed master classes with 3 objectives in mind. Via the master classes, we intend to teach you the logic behind each answer. And also, we intend to teach you how each syllabus area can be tested. We explain the theoretical concept covered in each and every section of our mock exams. And at the same time, in the same masterclass, we are explaining application. So the best way to learn theory and application is to watch these masterclasses. Then you need not waste time to learn theory on your own or to figure out application on your own. We have developed resources with the intention of simplifying your preparation so that you can spend a lot of time to refine your answering technique, thereby conducting revision. So the premium course is priced at £749, which can be paid in 2 installments of £374 each. Or if you opt to pay in full, you can save £100. If so, the price is just £649. So you can invest on your preferred course by clicking on either of these buttons. Having said that, let's try to figure out what you need to achieve as per our original 8-week study plan. If you're sticking to our 6-week study plan, which we shared last week, that's all right. Stick to it, because as per the 6-week study plan, you are supposed to attempt the 3rd mock exam. And after attempting the 3rd mock exam under exam conditions, you are supposed to watch the master classes to learn theory and application. Once you have learned theory and application, you are expected to redevelop answer plans to further refine your answering technique. So that is if you are sticking to our 6-week study plan, which we shared last week. And if you are sticking to our original 8-week study plan, similar to the 6-week study plan, you are supposed to focus your attention towards mock exam 3. So similar to what I said previously, you need to stick to the 3-step process. Watch the, attempt the mock exam to practice your answering, time management, and stress management techniques. Then watch the 4 master classes to learn theory and improve application, and then redevelop answer plans to further refine your answering technique. And for mock, focused on mock 3, you will receive tutor feedback. Once you have received tutor feedback, focus on the subtasks in which your performance was substandard and redevelop answer plans once more. Okay, so that's what you need to achieve within this week, whether you are sticking to the 8-week study plan or the 6-week study plan, which we shared with you last week. All right, so that's what we offer. Having said that, let's move on to the second part of today's webinar. So as I mentioned earlier, I said that I'm going to share some tips with you to boost your confidence. So first things first, the best way to develop your confidence is to stick to our study plan. So I've explained the 8-week study plan in depth in the first webinar. If you want, you can watch the recorded version, and you can also access the study plan via our website itself. So then you'd realize that it's simply a matter of attempting a mock exam per week and watching the master classes to learn theory and improve application, and then redeveloping answer plans, thereby revising your answering technique focused on the weekly mock exam. So if you stick to the study process, you will have enough time to attempt all mocks, and at the same time you will have enough time to conduct revision. Because if you wait until the last 2 or 3 weeks, yes, you will have time to attempt all 6 mocks, but you won't have to you won't have time to redevelop answer plans or conduct revision. And if you don't revise, if you don't redevelop answer plans, don't expect to pass this examination, because you need to, the objective of sitting for this examination is to improve your skill set. The only way to improve your skill set is to redevelop answer plans. So if you do so, if you stick to this process on a week by week basis, you will see a significant improvement in your answering and time management technique. You will understand after today's webinar, when you practice mock exams, you will also understand that you are capable of managing stressful situations. So if you are improving your skill set, then at your examination, everything will come into fruition. So that's why you need to stick to the process right now. If you're yet to start preparations, you still have time. Don't worry. Don't waste time. Don't wait until the last moment. Stick to our study plan and focus on each and every mock exam by adhering to the 3-step process. And if you do so, you will improve your answering, time management, and stress management techniques. And because you have practiced these techniques at your examination, you will champion these techniques. And also it helps to stick to a routine in the upcoming 5 weeks. So I don't know whether you usually stick to a routine. If not, at least in the upcoming 5 weeks, try to stick to a routine, because when you stick to a routine, it will help calm your nerves, and at the same time you will be calm and composed both mentally and physically. So try to wake up and sleep at a predetermined time. If you're finding it hard to wake up and sleep at a predetermined time, focus on your daily meal intake. Have your breakfast, lunch, and dinner at predetermined intervals. And when you do so, you will fall asleep easily. And if you fall asleep easily, then you will wake up easily as well. So first things first, if you're struggling with your preparations, if you're feeling anxious or stressed about your examination, first things first, stick to a routine, wake up and sleep properly, and at the same time have your focus on your meal intake. If you focus on these elements, then you can get rid of unnecessary stress, anxiety. If so, you can put in the necessary amount of effort to pass your MCS examination, because as per our study plan, we are not asking you to put in a lot of effort. It's simply a matter of dedicating 9 hours of study time per week. So that's quite simple. I'm not asking you to put in 15, 17, or 20 hours of work. If you start now, you simply need to dedicate 9 hours of study time on a weekly basis. So you can achieve this whilst doing your work, whilst running your own business, whilst managing affairs at home. You still have enough time to conduct preparations in the most effective manner, simply by dedicating 9 hours of study time per week. So stick to a routine, then you will be able to get rid of your unnecessary anxieties. And another way to improve your confidence is to practice mock exams under simulated exam conditions. So in order to give you this opportunity, we have painstakingly invested a lot of effort and financial resources to develop the exam platform, which is the exact replica of the Pearson VUE system. So when you have this resource at your disposal, use it. Whenever you are attempting a mock exam, do it under exam conditions, which paves way for you to master your answering, time management, and stress management techniques. And as I mentioned throughout this webinar series, when attempting each mock exam, stick to our exam technique routine, which I explained in last week's webinar, which is to dedicate 5 minutes of your time to read, 20 minutes of your time to plan, and the remaining 20 minutes of your time to type your answer in paragraph form. So keep practicing this technique, because if you do so, before you walk into the exam, you have practiced this technique across the 6 mock exams 24 times over. That's enough and more practice for you to get it right at your real examination. And when attempting each mock exam, try to do it in isolation, because at your exam, that's exactly what you would experience. And if you have kids, lock yourself in a room, and try to sit in one place across 3 hours, and attempt mock exams. When it comes to attempting mock exams, don't take breaks between sections, because sometimes students, when they have access to full mock exams, students tend to attempt section number 1 today, section number 2 tomorrow, section number 3 day after tomorrow, and likewise. So don't do it, because at the exam you have to work in a time pressured environment across 3 hours. So you need to get your bearings with exam conditions, and the best way to do so is to practice mock exams under exam conditions. So if you do all these things, if you stick to the study plan, if you stick to a routine, and if you practice mocks under exam conditions whilst practicing answering time management and stress management techniques, once you are in the last 2 weeks leading up to the examination, you will understand the fact that you have significantly improved your answering technique, you have significantly improved your time management, you are also capable of managing stressful situations. If you can master these 3 techniques before the exam, during the exam, it's going to be a breeze. Everything's going to be fine, because you will develop high quality answers, you will never run out of time, and when you're not running out of time, you won't be exposed to stressful situations. So these are the things which you need to practice to develop confidence in the upcoming 5 weeks, because if you take steps to develop your confidence on the day of the exam, you will definitely be confident, and you will operate with a positive attitude, and this positivity will take you a long way. Okay, so this is what you need to do in the upcoming 5 weeks by sticking to our study plan. All right, so lastly, let's talk about what you need to do to manage stress levels. So in last week's webinar, I said that you are expected to, irrespective of whether you have invested on our study resources or not, you are expected to, even those who had not invested on our study resources, even those who only have access to the free content, you have access to our first mock exam via the exam platform. So I said that after learning the answering and time management techniques, which I explained last week, you are supposed to implement these techniques when attempting mock exam 1 under exam conditions. So when doing so, definitely you would have encountered stressful situations. So I went through some answer scripts concerning mock exam 1 to see how you have fared. Most of you have done a good job in the first 2 sections, but in sections 3 and 4, I saw that you had given up your fight. And mostly in section number 4, I didn't see finalized answers which are in paragraph form. Instead, I saw answers which are in bullet points, or I saw just the answer plan. So you have not utilized the last 45 minutes fully. Instead, you have simply developed an answer plan and given up halfway through section number 4. Why is this the case? Because you are operating in a time pressured environment. When you are operating in a time pressured environment, your brain keeps telling you to take a break, and you will not listen to your brain in the first 2 sections, but from section 3 onwards, due to fatigue, you will be experiencing extreme levels of stress, and extreme levels of stress leads to brain freeze. And when you are experiencing brain freeze, you'd always want to walk out of the examination. So that's exactly what I saw when going through your answer scripts concerning mock exam 1. So why I wanted you to attempt mock number 1 under exam conditions is to make sure that you are exposed to these elements when conducting preparations. Because when you are exposed to these elements, you know for a fact that you are going to face a similar situation at your real examination. So in order to avoid such a situation, in order to avoid undue stresses, in order to avoid a situation where you are exposed to brain freeze, you need to practice the stress management techniques which I'm going to teach you right now whenever you are attempting a mock exam here onwards. Okay, so before I tell you or teach you stress management techniques, let me quickly tell you how we experience stress or how stress is created within our brains. Okay, so at the exam, looking at your brain, at the exam, you are supposed to utilize something called the prefrontal cortex. That's the front part of your brain. So whenever human beings are involved with or supposed to be involved with rational decision making, we are supposed to think through our prefrontal cortex. Okay, so at the exam, you are supposed to come up with the most rational answers, rational suggestions and recommendations. You are supposed to evaluate something in the most rational manner. So if you are to gain the best amount of marks, you have to be rational at all times across the 4 sections. And if you are to be rational, you are supposed to utilize your prefrontal cortex. But the problem is, if you look at an average human being, we can utilize our prefrontal cortex for something like 40 to 45 minutes at a stretch. But after 45 minutes, unless and otherwise you have meditated for years and years and improve the capabilities of your prefrontal cortex, because you can grow your prefrontal cortex by meditating. The brain is a muscle. Just like you go to a gym and do a workout to build your muscle, you can build your brain as well. And the only way to build your brain or to expand the size of your brain is to meditate. That's the only type of exercise out there. So that's something else other than if you had meditated for a long period of time, yes, then you can utilize your prefrontal cortex for hours and hours without a break. But if you look at an average human being, we can only utilize our prefrontal cortex for something like 45 minutes at a stretch. Once the first 45 minutes are done, then the brain will ask you to take a break. So at office, when you are experiencing something like this, you can definitely take a break. You can walk off from your cubicle. You can have a chat with your friends. If you are into smoking, you can smoke a cigarette. If you are into drinking tea or coffee, you can do so. You can do multiple things, or you can log into some social media account, or read something. You can do anything to take a break when your brain is asking you to take a break. But at the exam, can you do it? You can't. Even when the brain is asking you to take a break, you cannot give up. Instead, you have to keep fighting. So when you fight your brain, then this leads to stress. So the brain is asking you to take a break, but you're not listening to your brain. Instead, you are fighting your thoughts. And when you are fighting your thoughts, then you'd be exposed to something called a stressful situation. And when you are still pressurizing your prefrontal cortex, it comes to a point where the prefrontal cortex switches off and brain functions will shift to a small part of your brain, which is known as the amygdala. And when the amygdala is in play, you will experience a fight or flight response. What is a flight response? A flight response is a situation where the brain is asking you to avoid a stressful situation or get away from a stressful situation. But at the exam, you can't do so. At office, you can take a break. But when your brain is asking you to take flight, you can't do so during the examination. So the only option at your disposal is to fight a stressful situation. And when it comes to fighting a stressful situation, you need to take steps to switch off your amygdala and shift your brain functions back to your prefrontal cortex. So that's the only successful way to fight a stressful situation. But I'm going to teach you how to do this. I'm going to teach you how you can switch off your amygdala. But if you're clueless about how to do this in the most successful manner, when you try to strain yourself further, then your brain switches off, and that is when you will experience something called brain freeze. When you experience brain freeze, you will become emotional. Sometimes you'd start to sweat profusely, or sometimes you'd feel extremely cold. You will panic a lot. And at the same time, if you have done a CIMA case study examination previously, and if you have experienced brain freeze, you know what I'm talking about. You are trying to think, but nothing comes to your head. And you know for a fact that you are losing a lot of time. And because of that, you'd panic further. And then you'd start crying, or you'd become extremely angry. and you'd start, you'd become anxious. You will, if you're doing the exam at an examination center, you will feel annoyed about others typing on their keyboard because that sound will drive you mad. Why does all these things happen? Why would you become so emotional? Because you have not taken steps to switch off your amygdala. Okay, so that's what I wanted to highlight with regards to what creates stress. So at the exam, you are supposed to utilize your prefrontal cortex, but you can't do so for more than 45 minutes. And that is why I said that when going through your answer scripts, I saw that in sections 3 and 4, you have done a half-hearted, put in a half-hearted effort. You have not structured your answers properly. You have forgotten about the answering technique. You have not, even when you have developed the answer plans, you have not taken steps to expand the answer plans. All these things happen due to fatigue setting in sections 3 and 4, because you will be extremely comfortable in section number 1, because the time allocation in section number 1 is just 45 minutes. So you can utilize your prefrontal cortex for the first 45 minutes. And although your brain is asking you to take a break in section number 2 as well, you can fight and keep moving forward. But in section 3 onwards, fatigue sets in. Fatigue leads to extreme levels of stress. Extreme levels of stress leads to panic. Panic leads to brain freeze. So there's a tendency for you to give up halfway through the examination. So that's how stress is created. So you now know which parts of your brain will be functioning when you are supposed to be rational and when you are stressed. And you have to take steps to make sure that you do not overload your prefrontal cortex. So that's the first step you should take to manage stressful situations. And the only way to make sure that you don't overload your prefrontal cortex is to not multitask at your examination. So at your exam, if you try to read, plan, and type at the same time, you are going to be stressed a lot. Instead, simply stick to our answering technique, in which we have asked you to focus on reading first, and then move on to planning, and then move on to typing. So if you do so, you are not trying to multitask. Instead, you are focusing on reading, planning, and typing one after the other. So this is the best way to make sure that you are not overloading your prefrontal cortex. So that's the first step which you need to take to avoid stressful situations. And also, if you stick to this technique, you will be utilizing your prefrontal cortex 100% in the first 2 parts of this answering technique. So when you are reading, you have to be attentive. And when it comes to planning, when developing the answer plan, again, you have to be attentive. You have to be thinking, putting in a lot of effort. You have to be rational. And when you have a plan at your disposal, typing becomes easy. You can take a step back. So in the last 20 minutes of each section, you can take a step back, thereby letting your prefrontal cortex relax. So you need not utilize your prefrontal cortex 100% when it comes to typing, because you already have planned out your answer. You know what to include in your answer. You have planned out your answer. You know what to include in your answer. So because of that, when it comes to typing, it's simply a matter of expanding your answer plan in paragraph form. That becomes easy, because the toughest part in your examination is to read and understand, and then to develop the answer plan, or to structure your answer, or to determine which points you need to include in your answer. Once you settle these 2 things, then you can easily expand the answer plan in paragraph form. So if you stick to this process, you are not trying to multitask, and at the same time, you are letting your prefrontal cortex take a break, or rest in the last 20 minutes of each section. So when you are resting your prefrontal cortex at the very end of each section, then you are building your capacity to focus on something for an extended time period. So you are not overstressing your brain across the first 45 minutes. Instead, you are focusing or utilizing your prefrontal cortex 100% in the first 25 minutes, and in the last 20 minutes of each section, you are taking a break. So it's as if you are resting your brain. Even after doing this, especially towards sections 3 and 4, due to fatigue setting in, you will experience some type of stress or stressful situations. So then you should know that your prefrontal cortex, you are not thinking through your prefrontal cortex. Instead, your amygdala is switched on. So you have to take steps to switch off your amygdala. And the only way to switch off your amygdala is to focus on your breathing. So whenever you encounter stressful situations, remind yourself that you should switch off your amygdala. And the only way to switch off your amygdala is to close your eyes for 2 minutes and focus on your breathing. When inhaling, inhale through your nose. When exhaling, exhale from your mouth. Do this for about 2 minutes. And when inhaling, count to three slowly. And when exhaling, again count to three slowly. When you do this continuously across 2 minutes, you are taking steps to switch off your amygdala and shift your brain functions back to your prefrontal cortex. So you can't master this technique just because you learn it. You have to practice it when attempting each mock exam. So from today onwards, whenever you are attempting a mock exam, whenever you feel stressed, take a break, take a 2 minute break. I'm not asking you to, move out of your seat. Just close your eyes, focus on your breathing, inhale through your nose. When inhaling, count to three slowly and exhale from your mouth. Again, count to three slowly. Do this across 2 minutes to reset your brain and keep moving forward. Without doing this, without taking steps to switch off your amygdala, if you try to stress yourself further, if you try to fight your stressors, then you will experience brain freeze. So the only way to avoid a brain freeze is to make sure that you practice this whenever you are attempting mock exams. And I if you are capable of doing this before going to sleep, and right after you have woken up, focus on your breathing. Do this practice for 2 minutes. That would do on a daily basis. You have 5 weeks until your examination. So on a daily basis, before you fall asleep, and right after you wake up, practice this technique for 2 minutes. And this practice will ensure that you have some type of an understanding of how to manage your brain functions or how to control your brain. And during your examination, if you are in a position to control your brain, thereby if you can take steps to switch off the amygdala, then definitely you can get out of stressful situations, and at the same time you can avoid brain freeze. So this takes practice, just like the answering and time management technique. So from today onwards, whenever you are attempting a mock exam, I want you to practice all three techniques, which are answering, time management, and stress management techniques. And also, most students who end up getting good marks at their examination, they do this where, let's assume you are done with section number 1 and you are in section number 2. You will see the timer running down from 45 minutes, although the timer is running out. Most students, what they do is before reading through the unseen of section number 2, they tend to close their eyes for 2 minutes and focus on their breathing with the intention of resetting their brain functions. And once they have done so, then they will start reading through section number 2. So you might be thinking that I'm asking you to waste 2 minutes of your time. Actually speaking, if you take steps to reset your brain or refresh your brain before each section, it's as if you are gaining some time. Why am I saying this? Because especially towards the last two sections, let's assume you are in section number 3, you have been working across 3 slots of 45 minutes and it's not easy. You cannot focus. You are experiencing extreme levels of stress. You are getting emotional, and you are getting angry and whatnot. So, in such a situation, rather than forcing yourself to read through the unseen, take a break, focus on your breathing, get out of all these stressful situations, and work with a fresh brain. If you do so, you will develop the best type of answers, and because of the fact that you are capable of managing stressful situations. Because at this examination, your examiner is not just testing your technical knowledge, the examiner is not just testing your application skills, the examiner is also trying to figure out whether you are capable of managing stressful situations. Because as a senior finance manager, you should have the capability to manage stressful situations. And as a management accountant, one fine day, you might become a board member or you might start running your own business. When doing so, you should have the capability of managing stressful situations. However, successful you are as a student, if you are not capable of managing stressful situations, then you won't be successful in your corporate life, or if you're running a business, you won't be successful as well. So that's a prime element which is tested at this examination. So make sure to master this stress management technique, and as most students who end up getting good marks will practice before each section. Before starting each section, close your eyes, inhale through your nose, exhale from your mouth, count to 3 slowly in both occasions, reset your brain, and start reading the unseen. And at the same time, hydrating yourself helps you to calm your nerves as well. So you can drink some water only if it is allowed, because if you're attempting the exam at home, you can't drink water. You can't have a water bottle with you. And in certain examination centers, the invigilators won't help, won't let you have a water bottle with you. If so, you can't do this. So that's why I want you to primarily focus your attention towards breathing, to get out of stressful situations. So from today onwards, I expect you guys to practice 3 techniques: answering, time management, and stress management techniques whenever you are attempting a mock exam under exam conditions. And when attempting mocks, especially in sections 3 and 4, don't give up. Practice these stress management techniques. When you are implementing it for the first time, you won't be successful. Just like answering technique, I said that you are supposed to develop answer plans within 20 minutes, but when you tried it for the first time, you would have figured out that it takes you 35 to 40 minutes to develop an answer plan. That's quite all right. With practice, you will have the capability of developing answer plans within just 20 minutes. Similarly, when you are practicing the stress management technique for the first time, you won't be successful. You won't have the capability of resetting your brain within just 2 minutes. That's quite all right. Keep practicing this technique on a daily basis, and as and when you are attempting our mock exams, if you do so, then you will successfully manage your stresses at your real examination. Because if you are capable of managing stressful situations, you need not worry about the outcome. You will definitely pass this examination, because if you're not stressed, you will definitely develop rational answers, because you have seen how each syllabus area can be tested, because you have practiced the 6 mock exams and conducted revision focused on the same 6 mock exams. So if you stick to our process, you are taking steps to improve your knowledge as well as your skills and capabilities, because that's exactly what you need to pass this exam. You need to improve your knowledge concerning your E2, F2, and P2 syllabi, as well as you need to improve your application skills. And at the same time, you need to improve your answering, time management, and stress management techniques. So if you stick to our study process, if you stick to our study plan, you will fine tune all these things across the upcoming 5 weeks. If so, you will be extremely successful at your real examination. That is why we achieved a 90% pass rate in the last MCS sitting. And this individual ended up scoring 95 marks by focusing on preparations in the final 4 weeks. So if this individual who came from the exemption route right after completing OCS 2 months before, this individual started preparations for MCS. If this individual within 4 weeks could achieve 95 marks when the pass mark is just 80, just imagine what you can achieve by sticking to our study process and attempting the weekly mock exam and conducting revision focused on the same weekly mock exam. Okay. And I want you to avoid these deflections in the upcoming weeks. Don't rely on predictions, because as I've mentioned throughout this webinar series, the examiner is trying to replicate a real life corporate environment. In a real life corporate environment, even if you are the CEO or the chairman of the company, you cannot predict what type of issues your company is going to face, or you cannot predict the type of opportunities your company might exploit. So when conducting preparations, when attempting mock exams, your objective should be to understand the logic behind each answer, understand how each syllabus area can be tested, and based on it, how you should develop your answers. But at the examination, it's all about the unseen. You should consider the information presented to you via the unseen, and then develop answers which are totally aligned with the unseen information. So don't rely on predictions, because you cannot predict the future of any given company. You can't even predict your future. Yes, you know what happened in the past, but you can't predict your future. You cannot control your future. The only thing which you can control is the present. So be in the present, live in the moment. And when living in the moment, attempt our mock exams and conduct revision. Don't worry about the exam. Don't think about what can be tested, because we have developed the mocks concerning what can be tested, the type of scenarios which can be tested at the examination. So we have covered this element. You need not worry about it. And excessive industry analysis is a problem as well, because always remember, Trimayr is a fictitious company which operates in a fictitious industry. So there's absolutely no point of you trying to figure out how real life companies operate. So don't spend time on excessive industry analysis, because we have developed a set of resources as the industry analysis slides. Simply go through the last 4 slides of our industry analysis slides, then you'd understand how a real life company operates in your chosen industry. And misguided use of past papers is a problem as well. So don't rely on past exam variants or past papers, primarily given the fact that these past papers or past exam variants are based on a totally different pre-scene. For instance, if you look at the business model of Trimayr, it's quite different to Shiny Glasses business model, because last time's pre-scene was based on a company which is known as Shiny Glass. So the business models of these 2 companies are totally different. So if you go through a question to do with business models concerning what appeared in a previous exam variant or a past paper, then you will be misdirected. So always rely on pre-scene specific and exam standard study resources, because if you try to rely on, if you are to really understand the logic behind the answers presented in past papers, then you have to master a previous pre-scene. You don't have time to master a totally different pre-scene which is irrelevant to you. Instead, focus your attention towards the current pre-scene and resources which are developed based on the current pre-scene document. And information overload is a problem, especially in the final weeks leading up to the examination, because however much you stick to this study plan, you will always feel that you have not done enough. That's because we are human beings. We are never happy with what we achieve. So I can remember as a student, I didn't have the option of attending classes because I was working full time. I was just 20 years of age when I was, when I was preparing for the management level. Those days we had 4 different papers under the management level. So when I was doing this, I was just 20 years of age. That's when I, started a managerial type of role at my organization, and I was bombarded with work. I used to work until 10 p.m. every day. I used to work each Saturday as well, so I didn't have my weekends off, so I couldn't attend any classes. So because of that, I was forced to conduct self-studies. And when conducting self-studies, I have to definitely stick to a study plan. So even after sticking to the study plan a week before the exam, I thought that I have not done enough. So because of that, I tried to reattempt mock exams under exam conditions once more, go through all study texts and whatnot, go through my short notes, go through my answer plans, do everything under the sun, whereas I should have been relaxing. So I avoided doing these things in my last stage when I was doing my strategic papers, and there was an exam called the top CIMA. In the good olden days, that paper is not there anymore. So when doing top CIMA as well as when doing my strategic papers, I avoided doing this. I simply stuck to my study plan, and I was satisfied with what I've achieved. But previously, what I did was I was trying to do too much, and this led to stress. And stress, when I'm stressed before the examination, I will definitely be stressed during the exam as well. And that's what I encountered as well. Because I was stressed before the exam, I was stressed during the examination. This was primarily due to me trying to do too much. So simply stick to our study process, stick to the study plan. If you do so, that's enough. You need not do anything else. So if you had invested on our study resources, don't rely on past papers provided by other study providers, or don't stick to their own processes, because this is a tried and tested method which had worked out for so many students out there. So I expect you guys to stick to our study process and not fatigue yourself or stress yourself too much, because I want you to be calm and composed before walking into your real examination. And overemphasis on the exam blueprint is a wastage of time as well, because we have covered all elements concerning the entire exam blueprint across the 4 webinars which we have conducted so far. All right, so you have to avoid these deflections, and if you're attempting the exam at home, I will be sharing this link with you via the WhatsApp group. Go to this link and check how the Pearson VUE system works. Get your bearings with the technicalities behind the Pearson VUE system if you are attempting the exam at home. All right, so as I mentioned earlier, we achieved a 90% pass rate. So you can achieve a similar feat if you stick to our study process, if you stick to our study plan, and focus your attention towards improving your skill set on a week-by-week basis. Having said that, let's go for the Q&A. So I'm going to pause the recording. If you have any questions, you can switch on your mic and talk, or drop a message via the chat. All right, folks. So thank you very much for those questions. I hope I addressed everything. So if you want to contact us, you can do it via our website, which is www.study@tcs.com. Visit our website and click on the contact button and drop us a message. Our admin staff will get in touch with you via email during office hours, or you can directly email us via info@study@tcs.com, or WhatsApp us on this WhatsApp number. Also, I urge you to follow us on our social media handles, especially YouTube and TikTok, because the recorded versions of the weekly webinars and workshops are uploaded to our YouTube handle. And via TikTok, you'd gain access to 6 videos, which is a good mind map of the entire pre-scene, which we have developed based on this pre-scene mind map, which we have shared with you already via the WhatsApp group. So go through this document or the TikTok videos on a continuous basis until the day of your exam, to keep yourself constantly reminded of the most important points highlighted within your pre-scene document. And I invite you to read the blog post which we have developed focused on Trimayr, so that you can easily understand about everything which happens within Trimayr in a nutshell. All right, so having said that, it brings us to the end of the 4th webinar or our webinar series. If you had missed out on any of our previous webinars, please go watch the recorded versions, which can be accessed via YouTube, our YouTube handle, and at the same time, these can be accessed via our student dashboard, both via free and paid content. And I urge you to join us in next week's workshop, in which Jared is going to take you through your F2 syllabus and then explain how to answer a question tied to your F2 syllabus in the upcoming workshop, and he will be conducting a Q&A as well. So I hope you'd attend it without fail. So thank you very much for joining. I'll see you guys next week at the first workshop. Thank you and take care.